Welcome back to the Tide Hanger. This is Mike, and today I want to talk to you about Transformers Hasbro Kingdom. Now, this is the third tier, or the third pillar, of the War for Cybertron. Started with Siege, went to Earthrise, now we're into Kingdom. I never would have guessed they would have named it Kingdom, but now that you think about it, it's mostly made up of Beast Wars transitioning to Beast Wars. So I guess it sort of makes sense. Now, I told you I'd make a video once I finally got more information. We got a lot of pictures. Pictures are worth 1,000 words, and I have at least that many for you coming up. So I'm gonna break this into three parts. I'm gonna talk about figures we have pictures of. Then I'm gonna talk to you about rumored next waves of figures. Then I'm gonna talk to you about figures I would like to see. So we're going to start with Rat Trap here. First reveal that we got, and I actually think he looks good. He looks okay. He's not bad. Thing about Rat Trap, he's going to be a lot smaller than what we've seen with any other iteration of Rat Trap. Maybe they're trying to adjust to scale, but I'm hearing the price is actually going to be $9.99 or $10 price point, which is something that Hasbro has kind of gotten away from that scale of figure that's turned into two ridiculously small figures at the $10 price point, or if you get even smaller to like a gun, a Target Master, or a Headmaster at $6. So this is something they're getting back to the old $10 Legends scale, but is it too small? So it's kind of up to you guys. What do you think? Is it too small compared to the Generations or 30th Anniversary? I actually think it looks good, but yes, I do think it's too small. But at the end of the day, for 10 bucks, what you're getting, I guess it's okay. Now, looking at the robot mode, I really feel like there's not enough paint apps on it. I'm kind of starting to think maybe this is not the completed version of the figure, but on the other hand, maybe it is. The forearms are painted with some of that silver paint, kind of matching this 30th anniversary. Now, 30th anniversary was a pretty good figure. I would figure that something they're coming out with today should blow it away. It's a bit cleaner in its alt mode and pretty clean in bot mode, but the 30th anniversary is so much bigger, and it was only $3 more, but that was about 7 years ago. If you want to argue the point of value, you're spending 10 bucks on this Rat Trap and 20 bucks on this Bumblebee, depending on which version of this you get. I think there's a $40 version of this guy floating around, but anyway, it does look like it's worth $10. Maybe I would have rather had them bigger and paid $20. I mean, that's just my preference. So the next picture we have is Cheetor. I'm not going to really say much negative about it because it is a mainline $20 figure at the deluxe scale. And I will say that I'm kind of used to the Masterpiece. And I have to say, a Masterpiece at 100 and a mainline for 20, there's not going to be a true comparison between the two. So for 20 bucks, it looks good. So that's where I'm going to stick with that. I do think that the alt mode is cleaner than the Masterpiece. Maybe not as realistic as the Masterpiece, but it is cleaner. And there's less panel lines because it's a simplistic transformation compared to a Masterpiece version. Now, I'm starting to think they're going to, of course, use this mold for other characters like they have in the past, and which they actually have hinted or released that there's going to be that Panther coming up. But there's a bunch of these. I'm not ready to talk about Warpath yet. We're going to keep talking about Beast Wars until we talk about Warpath. So next up, I want to talk about this Black Arachnia. Here's the thing. I think she looks good, but from looking at her, I feel like she's developed to be a solid figure. Looks like she's going to stand well, she's going to operate well, and she really does match the tune very well. This blows the original 97, 90, whatever year that came out. This particular figure blows it away. I love the way this looks, and it looks like we have articulation in the spider legs, and I'm betting anything that this spider mode is cleaner than we saw with the Masterpiece. I know a lot of people complain about the Masterpiece. I can't guarantee that because the picture is terrible. The picture of the alt mode is really bad. We're going to get probably really good pictures in 2 or 3, 4 days. That's the way this stuff works. The leak stuff comes out, then the official stuff comes out. And I do believe all these leaks are orchestrated by Hasbro themselves. They make it look like they didn't do it, they had no part of it, and they generate a lot of buzz, and then the official stuff comes out, and then the figures come a couple months later. Okay, so sliding into the rumor report of what's supposed to be coming out, we're going to get a Shadow Panther. I'm not surprised. I would think that they're going to do a lot of remolds out of the Cheetor mold, and in the end, I think they did good with it. I think it's going to be a great figure. I kind of look forward to it. For a $20 price point, I'm not hating on it whatsoever at all, and I'm not even a huge Beast Wars fan. So you're probably asking, if you're not a Beast Wars fan, why do you even talk about this stuff? I'm not a huge Beast Wars fan. I love this show, and I never wanted to buy the toys back in the day when they first came out. I never wanted the toys, but I got about 4 or 5 of them because I love the characters. So we're getting into Waspinator, and I did not like the Waspinator character. But I think this new Waspinator will look good. We don't know because we're looking at the 30th anniversary, I believe. And with that, I do have the 30th anniversary of Waspinator. Pretty much all the stuff they released for Beast Wars back in 2013 or 14 or whenever they released those. And I have all of those simply because I just felt compelled to pick them up. But I'm wondering, will this one be better? Will we take a step back or a step forward? And the next one on the rumor list here is Airazor. Will we get an Airazor? I don't know if we've ever gotten an update to the original mold. And if we do, it will be cool to see how they do it. What will it look like? I mean, I guarantee it's going to look better than what they did in the 90s, of course. It seems like every one of these figures they've made in the generations, including what they're doing with this line, is way better than what they did back in the day. Just some of the masterpiece ones have kind of spoiled me. Next one on the rumor list here is the Scorponok. Now, I have to admit, this character was pretty feisty, and since I'm in Oklahoma, pretty close to Texas, I really feel like this character belongs in Texas. He has that accent, and he is pretty feisty, but I do like him. I'm looking forward to him coming out. I have to admit, I am not a huge Beast Wars collector, and every one of these entices me to want to buy them. So I think they're doing a good job. So next they talk about a leader, Optimus Primal. I'm wondering if they're going to make him an actual leader, like big enough to be considered leader size. But of course, this is a figure that you have to make. And they haven't redone him. It blew my mind that in the 30th anniversary they made Waspinator, Rat Trap, and Rhinox, but no Megatron or Optimus Prime. So it makes sense they're making it now, and I'm starting to wonder if they're going to revisit the whole Rhinox bit. I think that was a pretty good Rhinox, to tell you the truth. But anyway, I think it's a good idea that they made him, and I would like to see a Transmetal too. Oh, we're going to save that segment for later. So now they're going to be making a T-Rex of Megatron, and of course the Megatron looks good in the Masterpiece, and that's what this picture is of him. I'm wondering how good they do. I know it's going to be way better than the vintage one or the old one in the 90s. I don't know if it's going to compare anywhere near the Masterpiece. But one thing I can guarantee, it's going to be a much simpler transformation, a lot less penalized. When you have it in either mode, you know it's there. It's going to, well, I hope it snaps in place well. So now we're getting into the part of the list that I like the most. The Mike's request list on this. And yes, I'm not a huge Beast Wars fan, but I love the show. I think it's a great show. I think they did a great job with the show. And a handful of characters I really do like. Starting with Silverbolt. Now, this has nothing to do with my extreme attachment to Superion. Not at all. But maybe it does. Silverbolt is a great character, and I love that figure, and I really wish they make him in this new Modern Kingdom series. And they would do a great job with it, and I would buy probably 2 or 3 of them. Next up is Dinobot. I know that you really can't get better than the Masterpiece Dinobot or either of the two KOs of the Masterpiece Dinobot. I think they're both great. I've owned them both. I don't have the official. But what would they do in the main line? Would it be that great? I do have another third-party Chug-style KO. If they never make it, that would work, I guess. I don't know. But I would like to see what Hasbro would do with a modern iteration of this character because he was so important in the show, and I really did love the character. Next up, Depth Charge. I would love to see them make a new modern iteration of Depth Charge. I would actually like to see them make one that functions better than the original version. I had the original version. I don't think it functioned well. It as an actual figure and a toy, it kind of sucked. But the character was so awesome. He was so cool. And I loved that character. I really hope they do that character justice and they give us an awesome version of him. If not, I guess I could still live. I really want them to do a pterosaur for a lot of reasons. First of all, I think he's been lacking in every sort of line that they've made. But pterosaur kind of is an extension of my swoop obsession. I do have an obsession with swoop. I think it's a little bit unhealthy. But still, I do like this character. And I think that he was a really cool character in Beast Wars. I do like the color scheme and the metallic red that they use with him. But at the end of the day, I hope they make him because he hasn't seen anything since back in the day. Now, I do hope to see a Transmetal Optimus Prime and a Transmetal Megatron simply because these figures are what appeal to me as a G1 collector. It feels more correct that your figures would look more like this, kind of like the original Dinobots. That's just my mentality, my thought process. It clicked with me when they did Transmetals, and so I liked it. Now, a lot of true Beast Wars collectors probably don't like Transmetals as much as the originals, and I can understand that because of like my Star Wars thing. I like the original Star Wars more than Power of the Force 2 and all that stuff. But when it comes to the Transmetals, I think that is the coolest thing about Beast Wars. Maybe I'm in the minority. And number one, out of everything I want them to make, I want them to remake the Transmetals 2 version of Megatron. That, I think, is the coolest Beast Wars Megatron they've ever made. Yes, maybe I'm in the minority, but I could probably retire on the fact that the JX, the Zhang version, I never get that right, and then the version of that Megatron is so beautiful and amazing that I guess I don't need another version, but I would always accept another version. And if Hasbro put one out, I'd buy it tomorrow because this is quintessentially the best figure in Beast Wars, in my opinion. Now, of course, everyone's entitled to their opinion, and everybody's entitled to disagree with mine. But anyway, I'd like to know what you think about my list. What do you think about Kingdom? Like, subscribe. Today I'm Hanger out.